Moses once.
The
Moses
Jesus
one.
walked the earth.
The Jesus walks the earth.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right, and on that note, we will walk right into this new episode of Now You Know podcast.
Afrique, Afrique, et malheureusement Afrique sans fric. Oh, naso idée. Naso idée. Yendenika. Mais oui, c'est comme ça. Eh oui.
And here again, we are back like we never left with Belle, the one and only, Aristide, and myself, Chef Carl. And today we have a special guest in the building. But before we bring her to the table, how are we doing today?
But my mental health isn't mentally.
Hey, already.
That's
Aristide,
crazy.
how
Man.
far with you, bro?
I'll put you in my prayers.
Thank you, sir. I
Okay.
appreciate it.
All right. And once
Please,
again, we
please.
just want to let you guys know that this is brought to you by our friends at Stuck in the Middle. And go ahead, Bill. What do you have to say?
I was telling Archie that those prayers should come with money. I was saying my Momo account.
Oh man. Aristide, I think
God
I
works in
have
mysterious
Zell.
ways.
Zell, he works in Zell too. So through you,
So you want Bezele?
Zele.
Zelle.
I have
Zelle.
Bezele.
Yeah, that's Zelle now.
Zelle.
Z-
Zelle me the
Z- Let
money.
me say Z. Let me say Zelle. To be more
Okay,
specific.
okay.
Yeah.
From
That.
don't worry.
But I think we should ask Karen what we're going to be talking about today. I'm not sure if you guys have met Karen, but Karen, what are we talking about today?
That was my introduction. Wow. Well, today we're talking about how to keep the African tradition going through the next generation.
Okay,
Yeah,
that sounds like a great
yeah,
topic.
yeah, cool.
Yeah. Seems villageois. All right. All right. But Karen, so why don't you introduce yourself, to our listeners here before we do get started, and you might as well just throw in a fun fact as well, so that way we know more about you, and throw your socials as well, so they can follow you.
My name is Karen. I don't know if I include my age. I don't know how to introduce myself. I'm 21, born in Cameroon, but raised in Maryland. I don't have any socials. I only have a Snapchat. So, and that's,
Okay.
I don't even know that one. It's like Karen A something. It's whatever. Fun fact. I don't know. I used to have a pet chicken until I killed her. And then I had another one. She was Christmas chicken and she was delicious. She ran the streets of my neighborhood. Knew me as that girl with her chicken. Like, yeah. My chicken terrorized the whole streets. It would go to people's backyards and just chill there,
Hey.
come back.
And you ran with the chicken.
I ran. I took it on walks. They thought I was crazy. So I was known in my neighborhood as that
Wow.
girl with the chicken.
Wow. You know what they say, right? Birds of a feather.
Yep. I had another one and it ran away over the spring. So I'm really sad. I think a cat ate it.
This was recent. Over the spring.
The chicken heard about the news from the other one and said, nah, I'm not
he
going
was
to be
like,
the next one.
I'm not doing this, bro.
Come on. Karen, you said over the spring. This was recent.
Yeah, the one that I killed for Christmas chicken was like in 2019. That was Christmas. And then I had one this year. I brought it in April. It only lasted a month and it ran away. No, we started off with 4. One ran. My little brother killed one. Then we had 2. And I don't know what happened. He didn't kill it on purpose. He killed it by accident. Like it was hiding, and then he accidentally snapped his neck. He was.
Hey,
how do you accidentally snap somebody's neck? Bro?
Come on, ask me. And he hid that from me. He hid it from me. He hid the fact that he killed my chicken from me. Like I had to pry it out of him. He was saying it just died of natural causes. I was like, but why is his neck looking like that?
Your little brother, y'all watch that dude, bro.
Hey, yo. So you guys are just a family that kills chickens.
Boss Love, my little sister, she didn't want to kill the chicken, but my mom said, "Shut up. Who cares about your feelings?" And we have to do what we have to do. But Oswald, yeah, my little brother, he's a demon for that because he didn't want to tell me. And then we have one that's left, and then that one literally broke out of its cage and ran. Yeah, so that's the fun fact. I've had chickens.
Hey, free the chickens, bro. Free the homies, because apparently this is wow.
Chicken lives matter.
This is
bro.
insane. But I mean that kind of leads us into the topic, right? As far as like traditions, right? Because we all grew up in households where we had animals, chickens, stuff like that. I believe we all did back home. So it looks like you're kind of still within the same old tradition from back home there. So what do you think? Like, how has it been like growing up? Dealing with learning the tradition, and also how do you foresee yourself, living or upholding some of those traditions, I would say.
So coming here, I came really young, and I don't really honestly think my parents did too much of a great job of teaching me some, like, I still have the food, the music, but the music I kind of learned on my own because I was hearing other family members listen to it. And the language, I believe I was learning French when I was back home, but as soon as I came to the USA, it was a wrap. Like I didn't learn it anymore. The French just died as soon as I came to the United States. I didn't really learn my dad's dialect, however you say properly. Dialect, and it sounds very difficult. So I think I dodged the bullet. And I don't really wear if you see me, you just think I'm a regular
Mumu,
American.
just say Mumu. It's okay.
Wait.
Yeah.
So what?
What?
You,
Okay.
you want to be wearing Togo every day?
No.
I know, right?
I mean, no, of course not. It's just that I don't have I don't have any tradition where it wasn't really ingrained to.
Don't worry, I'm gonna hook you up with some. I got you.
Okay. So before we continue, right, let's actually establish this, right? Who knows the definition of tradition? Because a lot of times we speak on that and we don't
We have
what it could
Aristide
be.
here, the dictionarytarian. This is where he steps into the podium and announce himself.
Make sure you use Merriam-Webster. Don't be using regular Google because
don't use Wikipedia.
Exactly.
Or Aquaba.
Or something, yeah.
Okay, guys, tradition. An inherent, established, or customary pattern of thought, action, or behavior, such as a religious practice or a social custom. That is tradition, based on Merriam-Webster.
Okay, so inherited or established, right? So, Belle, what would you think is the most either inherited or established tradition that you've had, since coming here?
At you.
So, food would be your thing.
Yes, food.
Okay, so we have food. For you, Aristide, what would it be?
I mean, I feel like food, bro.
Food? Karen, what about food as well?
Yes.
But I think the difference that we have compared to Karen is because a majority of our lives growing up was in Cameroon, so we already had that
established.
We didn't really need to learn it yet. It was already established in us. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to, I don't know, Karen, how old were you when you came to America?
I came here when I was 5.
Yeah.
So you don't remember anything?
America Wanda.
I literally just have a little bit of memories. It was mainly me and Belner fighting. If I'm
remember the mango
honest.
trees in Douala.
Yeah, so I'm my memories is me and Belner, and it's just fighting, my parties that they would throw for me.
Why are you saying that? Why are you saying that here on the podcast, man?
You were at Jabocha.
I can't be telling secrets like this in the podcast.
But like I said, the biggest difference, just like what the definition said, maybe us, for me, you, Belle, we already had that established in us because we grew up. With a chunk of our lives. By the time we left, we were teenagers. But for Karen, I think a little bit, she has memories of what Cameroon was. But I wouldn't really say that that culture had been established yet because she was so young, and then when she came here, she probably had to like learn a lot of things through her parents. But according to what she's saying, they failed her.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was also like the education system too. That's why I was like, how like I think it's difficult moving it like moving the tradition when you're outside of that country, because it's so hard, because there's so many things that's holding you against you. Like the school system, when I came here, I was mainly speaking Pidgin. So when I came here, they literally told me I cannot speak that way. They were ingraining proper English in me so hard that I completely forgot. Like I still know how to like. I don't speak Pidgin because I think I sound stupid, so I just rather not.
I think you just sound stupid in general.
You and Carson are the same.
Yo, can you stop disrespecting?
Exactly. So things exactly, and then people like you that discourage me from continuing my tradition.
Don't worry about Carson.
Look at you. Carson is a mugu. Don't worry about him.
like and then like the school and then the people would just discourage me from like actually learning and just embracing myself. It's just now me when I finally turned like 16, I was like, okay, let me start embracing this thing a little bit more. But when I was a child, I didn't want to embrace it whatsoever. I just wanted to not be me. I'd rather just be American.
Do you guys feel like that goes back? And I totally understand where you're coming from, Karen, because when I came here, I went to high school, so I understand like the dynamic.
Jesus Christ.
The dynamic with you.
No, I understand the
English language is hard, man.
Bro.
English is a hard language, yo.
Yo, English, man. That's why I always speak Pidgin. In fact, I understand what, like,
how do you say dynamic in Pidgin? Go ahead, bro.
I gotta go to my dictionary and check, bro. I gotta go check. Kind by kind. But anyway, Karen, I understand, like, coming when I was in, high school, and it's like the difference, and at that point it was like I know I was African. We all knew we were African, but it were like certain like stereotypes and stuff like that were like based on what Africans are supposed to be or what they're like. And at that point, it felt like rather than you like being who you are, maybe just stay on your own side and try to like fit in with the crowd, try to fit in with the culture here. I thought, and then later on in life, then that's how like we found out. Okay, we're actually Africans. Let's rep our set.
Okay, I think there's something about that I wanted to point out, because you're saying yes, you weren't necessarily like, you were kind of being shy, hiding your part of your culture, but we're talking about tradition here. How did that prevent you from learning that tradition?
No, in Karen's case, I don't know, Karen, you can like add on to what I'm saying, but because when she came here, right, that was not established yet. But because she still knew, for example, the language, she spoke Pidgin, but when she came here, she had to completely, forget what Pidgin was and learn English, like grammatical English. So, from the beginning, they already like, okay, this is not what you are, this is what you're supposed to be. So it's like, okay, I'm here now, you're telling me that, okay, I can't speak my language anymore. Then suddenly I can't really practice my culture or what I know, you know what I'm saying? Or there's like some sort of like pushback on that, it's like
Is that the case?
Yes, that was really the case for me.
Did your parents stop you from speaking Pidgin?
Not my parents stopped me, but it seems like my parents didn't encourage me to. They didn't stop me, but they didn't encourage me either. So I didn't have that encouragement for me to keep going. So if you don't have anything to push you, you just completely stop, because there's no, especially when you're at a young age, you need your parents to constantly like, no, do this, do that, because I'm not at an age where I'm like, oh, my parents aren't telling me this, but I know I need to continue. No, you're a young child. Of course, your parents are your main influence. So if your parents aren't pushing you to continue to speak like that, then I'm just going to go with whatever the school system is telling me to stop speaking like that. So,
you know what's funny? I think we should. It would be definitely nice if we had a parent to talk on this, because in the same aspect that you're saying, like they should have pushed you. In another sense, they were trying to push you to learn this other, it's like you're in a different environment. Like when I came, it's like my mom was like, okay, you need to learn how people do things this way here because you're not in Cameroon anymore. Not to say that Cameroon was irrelevant, but it's like you're not
That's
in
true.
Cameroon. You know what I'm saying? So you have to learn how the people do stuff here. So I can definitely understand what you're saying. It's tough. It's like how like why didn't they push you to to keep speaking the language that you knew at home? Did your parents? Well, Cassie, anyway, go ahead with your
That's
question.
cool. I mean, we'll get back to that, right? We'll get back to
Yeah.
that point because I actually have something to say about that. But Bell, what do you think about that?
That is a very interesting topic. I think to Karen's point, right? When you come to US at a young age, right? In her case, 5. For example, Pidgin, right? What 5-year-old wants to be speaking Pidgin in the US? And who are you speaking Pidgin with? Right? If you're 5, you don't want to be speaking Pidgin with your parents at that age. Or do you? I think
Well,
and then
if you're 5, you don't even know what to do. You're being told what to do. You know what I'm saying? It's not like what you want, really.
to an extent, yes.
Mhm.
But in my case, for example, right? I mean, Pidgin is my first language, right? So I was speaking Pidgin to my parents, and they absolutely hated it. It was frowned upon. But guess what? I kept speaking it. All right, even when I text them, it's in Pidgin, and they would be like, "You have to write in English." But I kept doing Pidgin, you know, and eventually they got over it. So
So
I
so
think,
let me ask you this,
mhm.
right? Sorry to cut you off.
No, go ahead.
How old were you when you came here, and
I was
and when you
13.
came, you're 13.
Yeah,
Okay, all right.
But there's a difference between coming
Yeah.
at 5 and 13.
that's
At,
that that's
at
why I led with that.
yeah, because
That's
like
why I
at
led with that.
13, you're rebellious. You already have some sense of who you are. Some, not like a lot, but some sense of which direction you want to go. Yes, your parents can tell you yes or no to this, and you have that conscious mind to say, I don't care. I'm gonna do what I want, and okay, I'm gonna listen to them. But when you're 5, 6, 7, 8, what your parents says is what goes. Like that is your life.
I
It's
think
what
I think it's not really about doing what you want. It's about being able to balance it, right? Because at some point you have to understand that, for example, when we like all of us here, when we go to work, we speak differently than how we talk when we go back home, right? There has to be a balance. When, for example, you're at work and one of your aunties call you, your accent automatically changes. It's not like you think about changing it. How you talk automatically changes. You just have to be able to balance it, right? But at that young age, they're probably thinking that, I mean, whatever the reason might be, they're probably thinking that, oh yeah, let's channel this child towards a particular, you know, lifestyle, thought process, or approach versus letting them have a laissez-faire thing to just pretty much do what they want. So I think when you come here at a much older age, you're probably able to balance when to use Pidgin and when to use English.
So interesting point you do make, right? So what I would like to ask you, especially Karen, right? I know you're saying you weren't encouraged to speak Pidgin, right, at home, and in school they told you to speak English. What at what point in time do you yourself, I know you were 5, right? At what point in time do you take the responsibility of you did not do your part? Because I can see, thinking back, obviously I was like 12, 13 when I came here, but also at 5 years old, at 6 years old, there's a lot of peer pressure when you do go to school, right? At what part of it was you not trying to get made fun of in school that made you say, oh, I don't even want to speak Pidgin. I want to speak just English and I want to sound like these people.
I believe is when I moved to Laurel. I think I was 8 years old when I moved to this where I'm living right now. So I think it was 8 where I finally it clicked in my head. I don't want people to make fun of me because of the way I speak and my accent. So yeah, that's when it was 8. I think at 5 or 6, I was just following whatever the school protocol was because I was new. So I was like, okay, they said I should do this, I should do that. So
Yeah, I mean, yes, they will say that, right? But also at the same time, even if you're 5 or 6, there's kids are still gonna make fun of you. Why do you sound like that? Kids are gonna ask you straight to your face, and then you're stuck. You don't know how. So don't you think that at some point in time you're gonna sit there and be like, well, and try to and think there's something wrong subconsciously? Because also we see like there's a lot of like Hispanic kids that at home they speak literally just Spanish, but then when they come to school, they speak just English. As a child at that age, you're actually way better, way more equipped to learn both and retain both, as opposed to casting something else out.
So I guess, Cassie, that's a perfect point. But I guess the other part of this is like what Karen said, is your parents, if they're not,
So
if
just
they're
blame the
not
parents, huh?
engaged, yeah. No, I mean they have to take some blood. The parents got mommy and Bow when I give it some blame. Right?
That's what I'm saying. I was 5, 6, or 7. Is the blame is not on me if I'm 5, 6, or 7 or 8, because I'm not at that psychological mindset
the
where
blame's on you.
Yeah,
I
Exactly.
can
yes,
put
you
blame
are.
on
But
myself.
yes, you are though, because
No, but here's the
at
thing,
that
though,
age,
Cassie.
you don't listen.
That's not true.
Bro,
That's-
you'll listen to "Don't Touch It." Even if they say "Don't touch this" at 5, you're touching it.
No, people fail to realize at a young age, your parents, especially, that's your root. That's how you start off. You start off with the people you're surrounded with. As you get older, of course, it's like friends and environmental factors that shape you. But when you're just starting, it's mainly your parents. That's why people have like young people like still have their mindsets of their parents and how their parents think, because that's what they grew up on. That's what it's their factor.
So Karen, your parents never spoke pidgin in the house while you guys were in America?
They never spoke it to me, like
Yeah.
personally. Like they would never speak it to me. They would just speak English from what I remember.
Yeah.
From like
I mean,
it was
so-
never really encouraged yet discouraged. But compared to like in a Hispanic household,
Yeah.
Hispanic
That's the main
household
language,
is
yeah.
different. They really install it in your head. Like my best friend, she's Hispanic, and all that I've known her from, her parents only speak to her in Spanish. Once she's home, English is out the door. Like it's mainly in Spanish. That's why I'm like, you can't really compare this Hispanic culture from mine, because Hispanics keep that culture regardless of what they do.
Yeah, and
So-
also talking specifically, sorry, Cass, talking
No, you're good.
specifically about language, right? I don't know about any like Spanish countries or Hispanic countries, but I don't know if they have dialects apart from their main language, which is Spanish. But for us, it's like you have English, French, Pidgin, and then your
French
mom
and
is from somewhere else, your dad is from somewhere
Exactly.
else. That's like 5 different languages that you potentially are like exposed to. But if you're here and your parents are not, if you're not engaging in conversations on a regular basis in Pidgin or any of those languages, you're gonna lose it. And what you're gonna learn is like you're gonna learn words in school, because every day you go to school most of the day you're probably in school, you're talking to friends in English. So your parents in that aspect, I think they might have done better, maybe, or maybe other family members in like trying to, keep that Pidgin going on, because now it's like you used to speak Pidgin, but now you feel like you can't speak it anymore because
like cats
it's
now.
been so long. You know what I'm saying?
Like I know how to speak it, because I've learned, like I've
Yes, us, Kasana. Who do I?
heard from other people and I've relearned it again.
Yeah.
Just that I just prefer not to speak it,
Time
because
out,
like
time
I
out.
said
Karen,
earlier,
Have you relearned it? Have you relearned it, or was it always around that you never forgot it? There's a difference.
That's probably what it was.
I probably just never
A
forgot
bit of
it.
both.
Yeah, I think it's a bit of both. Maybe it did die a little bit, but not fully. And then the ones that did like die, it's just like when you don't take a subject for a long time, you forget the material. But when you do that subject again, it finally just comes back to you. So
I
think
disagree with that though. I disagree with
Oh.
that, because I'll put it this way, right? Has there been any point in time where you've heard someone speaking to you in Pidgin or speaking to anyone in Pidgin and you've not understood everything they've said?
no, I always
It's not about understanding, it's about speaking.
That's what I'm
So
like. There's a difference between understanding and speaking. Haven't you heard some people that can understand everything that
There's
you're
different
saying,
levels
but
to
they
speaking
can't just
out here.
That's my point, right? So that's actually my point, right? Because you never spoke it as much. You never lost it. That ability was always there. Only difference is you would have to think before you speak it.
You think
It's still there.
Back on you.
It's still there. So like English,
Boy.
right? If I want to say something, I'm gonna just say it outright, right? But
Right.
if I want to say something in French now, I have to think, because that's not
Think
something
about
that I
You have to
practice.
conjugate.
But
Yeah.
again, but it's
Je
also
suis.
something where if I didn't hear anything in French at all for a year and I didn't speak it for a year,
Voulez-vous coucher
able to
avec
understand
moi
it
ce
as
soir?
much, you know? So again, you can say yes, your parents do play a role in it, but you as well also play a role in it as well too, because as a parent, would they want to force you to do something that you may not want to do all the time? Not necessarily. They'll pick and choose what they want to force, right? So, for example, let's lead to the next part of the tradition: food.
You know,
What
you
part of
know.
food do you eat? What
Wait,
food?
Carson.
Go
Before
ahead.
we jump into food, real quick. Sorry. So I know this. I know these kids, right? They're like by now they're probably in like their 15. But a couple years ago, about 5 years ago, I met this family. They're from my village in Cameroon, and one of my aunts. They have two kids. At the
Please,
time, they were
what's your
probably like
village? Remind us.
10. That's confidential info. At the time, they had like well, they still have two kids, not at the time, and they were like maybe 8, 9, 10. These kids were born here, but they spoke complete and understood the dialect. So what does that tell us or in this topic? It's all about your environment and the parents and whoever you're around. If nobody is exposing you to all this extra stuff, okay, you were exposed to food, that's why you know your food. You know, who nobody's gonna let go of their food. It's we can't let go of arrow, never. You see?
But
So it's
I
like
know some people that don't eat the food though. We continue.
that's just because they don't like it. Because what they've been brainwashed.
What?
But I completely agree with Aristide. Like, it's not like it's yes, it's the kid and the child and the parents' fault, but I feel like it mainly falls on the parent. Like what we were saying, you have to be exposed to it. If you're not exposed to it, how will you learn to learn if you're not exposed to it? Learning
You were
starts with
exposed to it.
exposure. I wasn't. When I came back, I was no longer really exposed to it
But
because
we just confirmed that they always spoke it around you. So you
no,
were
I didn't say
exposed
they
to it,
always did. Sometimes they didn't speak it to me.
but they
I don't
spoke it
really
around you.
remember it. Huh?
But they spoke it around you.
Yeah, but
It
that was
wasn't
not really.
enough. I say it wasn't enough.
It wasn't enough. Like they're not speaking it. Yeah, they might be speaking it to each other, but if they're not coming to me
You're
and
mixing
this,
it.
huh?
English speaking
So
the same
come on.
sentences.
Your mom never told you to go grab something from the kitchen in Pigeon? Bring me that slippers or something like that?
Go watch that
Nothing?
pandem. Nonsense.
Exactly. Come
And
on.
no, that's actually not true because this is actually true information. My mom does not speak pigeon to me in my household.
Remember, she listens to this podcast.
No, I'm serious.
Yeah, we're gonna get her take.
Yes, my mom does not.
We will
I
bring
can
your
bring my
mother
little
next
sister and my little brother right now to confirm. My mom does not.
No need for that.
I know
We
I'm
believe
not
you.
saying that I will,
She didn't
but I'm
insult
saying
you in
like
Pigeon.
she does not speak pigeon to
She
us.
didn't
And if
insult
she
you in
does,
pigeon.
she corrects herself and she says it in English.
She didn't tell that, mommy pima.
I'm so serious.
How would she insult herself?
You got the joke, Mumu.
I don't think she did.
Because I was too busy talking, so I didn't even hear what he said.
Yeah, but honestly though, right? I think age plays a huge factor as far as tradition is concerned. When you do integrate into a different culture, because I always tell people this, right? That I fell in love with Cameroon and Africa when I left Cameroon and Africa, because I had everything in front of me to learn about the country and the continent. Because in Cameroon, as far as access was concerned, we're kind of limited to at that time, yes, we're limited, but now you have social media, you have the internet, you have libraries, you have books, you have everything that is in front of you to be able to learn about who you are, where you're from. Even though people are using this ancestry DNA, which is complete BS. Maybe sorry, maybe it's not BS, but it's like I feel like everybody that does that thing is Nigerian.
Bro, it's BS, bro. I'm sorry.
It's like everyone does it. It's like Nigerian, Congolese, Ghanaian, Cameroon. That's everybody.
I mean, it makes sense though. It makes sense because we're 99.9% of the slaves, and and it was it transatlantic slave trade. Where they come from?
Yeah, I guess so. But just to finish up, yeah. So right now, I think at your age, Karen, you being 5, we can kind of let it slide a bit, But now that you're more older now, and you see that, okay, this is something that is part of me, it's never going to leave me. What are you now doing about it to be able to immerse yourself into that tradition and culture? That way you can hold on to it and eventually pass it on, if you eventually have kids, or to your little brothers and sisters. So I think now that you're at this age where you have access to everything, like you have literally no excuse right now. You
Yeah,
have
that's what I'm saying.
everything.
Right now, I said when I turned 16, that's when I finally was like, okay, no, I'm not a Black American. I'm African. That was the age where I finally was like, I allowed myself and I was teaching myself. But like you said, at a young age, it can't be, oh, is that young person's fault when she was 5 because she should have learned on her own. Well, that's what it's not. I don't think it makes sense.
Please remind us what you do on those resumes or applications. What do you always do again? Remind us.
Come on, man. I'm always a minority in it, bro. Always up there. Every time I put African.
Good man.
Put African on there.
Karen, so you mentioned that at 16, that's when you decided to just embrace, yourself, who you are as an African woman in America. What is there like any specific like event that like happened that made you have that realization?
So it was 16 or 15. I don't remember which one in particular. I think it was either one of those two. My high school had ASA, African Student Association Club. That's where we dance, we eat, that's when all the African students come together and just congregate.
It was cool to be African at the time.
Yes, and that's when it was cool to be African. Yes. But at 14, I was like, I'm not really for it. I don't really care for,
to be African.
To be African. And then when I was finally like 15 or 16, I was seeing like, it was like, there was finally like, it felt like community, like, because at that time when I was like in between the age of like, whatever age up to 15, I did not know where I belonged in which community I belonged in. I didn't know if I belonged in the African community, and I didn't know if I belonged in the Black community. I was too African for the Blacks and I was too Black for the Africans. So I was just there, like didn't belong anywhere.
That's a pretty
that's facts though.
That's facts,
Yeah.
Exactly.
I get that a lot.
So
I get that a lot. I'm too African.
Like with the Black people, they're like, "Oh, Karen, you're too African." I'm like, but the Africans say I'm too Black. So I don't even know what it is. So I just stayed there, and I didn't have any friends. I just stayed to myself because I didn't know where I belonged in life. So finally, when I saw like the African community, and there was a lot of people like me that just didn't know in the ASA, there was a lot of people like me that didn't know where they belong. Like they came here at a young age, 6, 7, 8, and the American system ate them up. Their parents wasn't really like trying too hard to like instill things in them, because you have to assimilate at one point when you do come to a different country. That's how you live. That's how things work. So some parents, they just assimilate too much, where they just like throw the tradition away, or they assimilate but still keep the tradition.
Okay, so I have a question for you, right? Because again, I hear what you're saying, and I think we all dealt with that to a certain extent, right? But my question is, what do you think was your role in upholding this tradition? Because I feel like what you're saying is that, yes, because you spend more time at school away from home than you do at home, if we're being real, because you're 8 hours in school, you come back home and then you sleep another 8, and then you get up, journey back and forth and stuff like that. So you're going to spend more time with your friends in the school. So what part of that, right, you trying to fit in with one group, don't you think you shunned another group more, which was the African traditions? Because hence, I can guarantee you, a lot of times when your parents would play like their old school music and their stuff like that, you'd be like, what is this? And not listen to it. Obviously, we had some weirdos like Bell who would always like be like, yeah. But a lot of us shunned their music. A lot of us shunned their old stuff. Obviously, there was some stuff that we'd like, but we would shun that, right? And it wasn't cool to be African, like you said. So in school, you would push that part away and cast it aside. So you're not going to belong with the Americans because you're shunning them. You're shunning, you're trying to fit in, and they know that you're trying to fit in, but you're not also going to fit in with the Africans, because your parents can clearly see that, and your other African people can clearly see that you're not fully embracing that culture. So do you think you fully embraced it
No, because this is the thing. I've actually had a conversation with one of my uncles about this. So I was like, I feel like they're going wrong about it in a way, because I feel like when a child wants to learn about their tradition, they get laughed at, they get mocked at. Like what I was saying, like, I don't feel comfortable, even till now, even though I know how to speak Pidgin very well, I just don't feel comfortable doing it, because whenever I do, I get laughed at, or like by the aunties and uncles, I get laughed at, or they're like, or I just get made fun of. So it's like, I talked to an uncle. I literally sat down and talked to him about it. I'm like, you, in a way, they discourage us, because they're like, oh, look at this African, this. Yes, exactly. This I don't want to say it.
That's what
but
is.
Yes, they're looking at this. I
So,
just
wouldn't Bell be the prime example of that person?
I mean, he doesn't do it to me because I don't really like to do it around anyone. So yeah, but what Belner does to you is prime example. So it's like, it's discouraging. So even when I did try, I was still knocked down because I was already seen as an Akata. So there was like, there's no point of,
try. That's the thing.
Not necessarily though, because a lot of times they would, first off, I already know, for one. Second off, a lot of times when they would actually laugh at you or make fun of you, they still tell you though.
No, they just laugh. They're like, oh, this is so.
It depends, right? Because I can't speak for Carson because they've laughed at Carson so many times about his speaking, and they end up teaching him the correct thing. But I think it depends on the community.
Pidgin is on point, by the way, guys. Don't even listen to this nonsense.
In your mind it is, but I think it depends on the community, and it depends on your relationship with the person, right? There are people who just make fun of you and keep it moving, right? Then there are those who make fun of you and then actually correct you, right? So it depends on the community. It depends on who. Like on our last episode, I think there was a quote that said that don't worry about what the person is, don't worry about what the person is saying, but who's saying it. I forgot the quote, but it's about who is actually saying it, like how important is that person to you, right? Because if somebody I don't care about is trying to correct my Pidgin versus somebody that I care about doesn't correct my Pidgin, how the delivery is will be different. Because one person will be making fun of you, one person will be teaching you. So it kind of depends on your surrounding as well, like you said earlier, as far as to keeping that tradition.
Yeah, and I felt, me personally, with my experience, because you guys can't invalidate how I work, how I went through it, because my experience might be different from another person experience, but doesn't mean that mine is wrong. But my experience, I felt like I was never really corrected. I was mainly made fun of, like, so that's why I just kept to myself. And I've spoken to some other people, we've actually had this in, like, we just felt like we were made fun of, so we just felt like there's no need. Nobody wants to teach us. They're just laughing at us and thinking, it's just, they just think it's stupid. So that's why I didn't quite shun it. I don't think I actually shunned it, but I didn't embrace it at the same time. It was just there, if that makes sense. Like, if somebody was like, you're African, I'm like, yes, I'm African. But I'm like, oh my gosh, yes, I'm African. It was just like, yeah, I'm African. What about it? Like, there's nothing serious. Darcy, you want to say something?
Before we go on the segment, guys, sorry. This is a good conversation. It's a good topic. But I think what you said about people making fun of you or ridiculing the way you sound when you speak Pidgin, that's relevant, because I can say for myself, I feel like I've done that before to other people. So I, like you said, you had your own experience. Nobody, we didn't experience what you experienced. You experienced what you experienced. So nobody's invalidating your feelings or whatever. But I definitely understand what you mean when you said, people sometimes laugh at you because of the way when you speak it might come out. But I would encourage you that, you should speak it more, and really it's not even about other people or how they want to take it. It's more about you practicing for yourself, and hopefully for your kids one day, that you can pass that on, because we don't want this same episode to happen again 20 years from today.
That's facts.
Exactly.
Or even if we have the same episode, it will be a different outcome. You feel me? So as for me, from now on, when you see me, I will speak to you in prison.
Mm-hmm. Hey, Jesus.
That's my pledge.
You guys heard it here first.
I know, I know. All right, and on that note, it actually leads us to our next segment, right? Which is our proverb. Yes. And this kind of ties into the actual topic a little bit. Karen, we're gonna have you draw a parallel to this, right? We'll actually have you actually tell us what it means and draw a parallel to this topic. So it goes as follows. Knowledge is a garden. If it isn't cultivated, you cannot harvest it.
What? I'm sorry.
Hey, Jesus. All right. I will repeat that again for you since you were distracted. You know, normally Aristide is the one that's distracted, but it looks like you've taken his place today. So, once more, knowledge is a garden. If it isn't cultivated, you cannot harvest it.
Wait, what am I supposed to say after you said the parallel?
Yeah.
Tell us what it means and how does this tie into our topic here today?
Well, it pretty much means like if you don't use it, you lose it practically. Like you can be taught everything in this world, but if you don't practice it day by day, you're going to forget it. And same thing, and it ties in with this episode very well because it's like that's exactly what we were talking about, how like if we don't continue these traditions in our own household and outside of our household, when we move on to the next generation, will we be able to actually teach these things to our kids? Because by that time it has already been, it's already dead, it's died. And then it just stops with you because you don't have that knowledge to pass on to the next generation.
Well said. Before we get another interpretation of this topic, right? What are you doing currently to harvest this knowledge?
So I've been listening to more of the music. I feel like I'm becoming like Belner a little bit because some of the taste, I'm just like, Jesus freaking Christ, I actually like these type of music. and it's like, whenever I hear a song that I like, it doesn't even have to be like Cameroonian music. It can be just anywhere, and I like it. I will, Shazam it, and I will add it to my phone, and then I'll go through the artist like catalog, and I'll listen through it. Or Spotify has a good way of categorizing your type of music. So if you go to that artist and you go to that artist playlist, it will show you like different types of song that's around that area, because people always like to ask me, how in the world did I find this artist and this type of song? And it's just like, Spotify is amazing. I would advertise for them.
Bro,
Spotify
I was gonna ask, did they pay you?
I know.
Right?
Right?
Like, Spotify, please sponsor me.
This is not an ad, guys.
I know it's not.
And if you're a student, you get Hulu and Showtime for $5. Just saying, this is the free advertisement.
Information. Not to pay for this information. But aside from the music, though, how else?
I love the food. I'm even trying to learn. I've been trying so hard to learn how to make ndole. And every single time my mother makes it, for some reason, I'm either one, never in the house, or two, I'm busy to the point where I can't cook. But I'm trying to learn some of the dishes because I think they're amazing. Like my dad's soup from his tribe is called tanchon soup. It's so good. But my mom doesn't know how to make it because it's not from her. It's not from her side. It's not from her tribe. It's not from her. So I have to go to one of my auntie's house one day and learn how to make it. But I'm trying to learn. I know it's really good, Belner. It's really good. So I'm trying to learn that, and I actually want to get more traditional wear. So when I do go out, because I've been going out more, I'm no longer an introvert. I mean, I still am, but I've been going out more to like parties and all these different things. And I would like to, here and there it doesn't have to be like the full wear or everything like that, but it can be a nice little top, a skirt, some pants. And I want to get more fabric so I can sew it, so I can actually go out and step out and do all of that. So that's what I've been doing to to
Sounds great.
improve
Sounds great.
myself.
So, but time out before you ask that, right?
Yeah.
So, do you think you're doing more now to learn the traditions than you were before it was cool to be African, before you were 16, 17? And do you feel more accomplished? Do you feel more satisfied now that you know? Because obviously we know young and dumb, the older and wiser, you know?
Yeah, I feel like when it started being cool, it most definitely boosted my confidence to learn it. I'm not gonna sit here like, no, I want to do it because I want to do it. No, yeah. When it was cool, I was like, okay, let's see why it's so hot and pumping. As you know. So that's when I was finally embracing it. Like, even though, like, when I go out, it's like people are, it's just that there's so much pride in this culture, and I just love it. It's just like, why else would you not be proud of it? I mean, like, some people don't think like me, so
that's where I was getting at, because I feel like I was just like you too. That's why I'm kind of picking on you a little bit. So I was looking for you to say that, but that's great.
Yeah, but it's amazing. Like, this summer I went to Senegal. No, not Senegal. Ooh, that's next year. This summer I went to Kenya and Tanzania. I just have to put it out there. I'm very broke. Don't think I have money, but I went there, and it's just when you see the place, just we're just engulfed in it. It's just so beautiful. Like, oh, Africa is just such a beautiful place. Why else would you be embarrassed? So it's just like, just it's amazing. That's all I have to say.
Yeah. Keep the same energy when the
I
kids come.
understand.
But also,
What are you doing to
yeah,
cultivate the knowledge?
if I slap the boy.
Oh, cultivate
Bro, we're
the
talking
knowledge
about Karen
garden.
today, man.
It's all about us. What are you doing to cultivate this knowledge
Bro,
garden,
I
this
already got
tradition?
all the Infinity Stones, bro. Don't
Do
leave
you?
me. Yeah,
Do
bro.
you?
I got everything. I got food. I got contract. I got Gary. I got all of it,
That's
bro.
just food.
Everything else, pigeon. You want pigeon? I give you. What
Country
else?
talk.
I will get.
Yeah, I guess you're missing one.
Anyway, bro. I'm missing a couple, but with time. Karen, look, even me, self, I'm even struggling. So we're both working on this together. But anyway, what I was gonna say is, at the beginning of this episode, we loudly said that your parents failed you. But I also because I know your mom is a huge fan of the podcast and she listens to this. It's not why I'm saying this. I'm just saying this because it's true. But as we've spoken, we've also seen that in other aspects they did really well. For example, you're talking about how when you want to learn how to cook dole, and sometimes when your mom is cooking, you're not home. So I think they definitely deserve some credit.
Almost definitely. That's all she cooks is
other things. Other parts that you probably wouldn't know if it wasn't for them. So shout out to them, and shout out to you for trying to immerse, get yourself back into the culture. I mean, I think most pretty much every, I think maybe second generation African America has probably been through what you've been through. So I hope
she's first
they
generation.
can hear this episode.
She is first generation.
I know, right? Get it correct.
First generation. Sorry.
I don't even get this first generation, second generation thing. I just go with the vibes.
Just no say be generation.
Exactly.
They corrected me before we started, so I'm making sure I return the favor.
First generation. So shout out to you, Karen. Shout out to you. You're not alone. So because I'm still learning a lot of things about my culture, our culture. So thank you.
Bonino, how are you? Cultivating the knowledge garden.
You should know that I have all the stones, huh? I have everything. Minus
I see the
minus the dialect. I know a bit. I can understand the dialect, but to speak it is I have my limitations. But I feel like
let me ask you a question. When you try to say it, do people laugh at you like the way they used to laugh at Karen?
No, because I don't try to do what I don't know or say what I don't know. I don't force it, right? If I can't say it, I'll obviously tell you that I can't say it. I guess I can, if you say it to me in the dialect, I'll respond back to you in pidgin because I don't want to go say something wrong.
Yeah.
So I'll reply you in pidgin.
So how are you gonna learn if you don't say it?
I mean, that's a very good question. That's a very good question. I'll say it in pidgin, and then they'll tell me the correct thing in the dialect.
And then how you're still not saying it
my-
though after that.
My aunt would be like,
But
yeah.
that's learning after the fact.
I
not
know,
before
but
the
then
fact,
you don't practice it. That's my point.
because I don't say it often. That's the thing. But the same,
That's
if you
what-
ask me the same question the next day, I'll obviously reply to you back in the dialect.
See,
But
And
that
then
goes
they make
back
fun
to
of
what
you
in
then.
that moment in time, I wouldn't be able to do
Because
that.
Karen is saying that she's not saying that they're making fun of her for not knowing how to speak
the
pidgin.
way she
They're
says
making
it.
fun of how she says it. That's my point.
But that's
So
different, though.
Aristide is asking you
Mhm.
if they're making fun of how you say it as well.
They're not making fun of me how I'm saying it, because I'm not saying it until the next time when I've learned it.
Okay, so
missing the point here.
no, you're
Yo.
missing the point though. Just like there's
No, no, no.
accents, like no. If you have a French person speak English, right? They can speak
Correct.
grammatically correct, but there's an
Mhm.
accent. Karen can
Exactly.
speak pidgin well, but there's an accent. When you're speaking a
Exactly.
dialect, you're not
speak
gonna
a
have
dialect
the
with- I
accent.
don't speak a dialect with an accent. I don't speak
But-
pidgin with an accent.
If you're
But-
starting
but-
off right, there's gonna be an accent there somewhere. You're not gonna sound
No,
as
no, no,
fluent as someone who's spoken that at all.
Now the thing is, like I said, right? I don't know everything in the dialect. I know certain things. So based on that, just that foundation, I'm okay. That's what I'm saying.
So anything outside your vocabulary is strike. If
What
it's
do you
not
mean?
inside my list of vocabulary that I know in the dialect, I'm not even going to venture to say it. So I
Exactly.
understand what you
But then
mean,
when I
yeah.
learn it now, the next time
Yeah.
I will say it to you.
So,
and also
which
that also
is
goes
still the
back-
same thing though, because when they tell you how to say it, you're gonna say it and mess up. You're not gonna get it right at the just like the name on the last episode.
Yeah,
They
but
told you how to
I'm
say
not going
one
to
name
repeat it
and you
now.
said it.
I would repeat it there and there. I'm smart enough not to do that.
Okay, so when are you gonna actually learn to how to say it the right way? Just because sometimes you're gonna hear it and you're not gonna be able to say it outright the first time correctly.
Yeah, I tried it in my own time.
And
think
how
the
do you know it's
key- the
correct
key-
though? That's the thing.
Because
said,
I can hear the voice in my head saying it.
Bro,
No,
just
here's the
like,
thing,
again,
though. No, guys,
I'm smart enough not to go and be saying the wrong
Bro,
thing.
no. The thing is, right? No
You are
one is gonna
missing-
say everything perfectly. If you
I
hear
get that.
you heard the name 3 times, you said it wrong 3 times.
Mhm.
You can hear a phrase in a dialect 3 times. You're gonna say it wrong a few times before you get it correctly.
That is true.
And you're not gonna get that on your own. You're gonna get someone's gonna correct you when you say it. So the point is,
So-
do they make fun of you when you do get it wrong while you're still learning it?
Going back to what I said earlier, it depends on the person.
So
That's what I
here's
said.
the
Do they
thing.
have they done it to you? That's the
No.
question.
No.
Okay, that was it.
So here's the key part, because it goes back, because the way we're learning the dialect or whatever language is like passive. We're not like going to class and learning meta or batibo. We don't go into class. So the only way we can successfully understand and learn the language is speaking to understand it
An error.
is by constantly talking, being in the environment. But for Bell, how many times in a month will Bell hear somebody speaking his dialect? Maybe at one occasion, one cry die.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's it. If you speak one word at a cry die, how are you gonna learn? You know what I'm saying? So that's what I'm saying. And that's not to say that Bell doesn't want to learn. It's just saying that we're not surrounded around people who constantly talk that language. And we can't go to school for it. So that's the difference. So just like Karen, if Karen wasn't
Business
if her
idea.
parents didn't I get
I
but
don't
we need
think
to
anyone's paying for
learn
that,
it
bro.
first though.
I don't think anyone's paying for that. I'm telling you right now. I don't think anyone's paying for that.
But we need to learn it first. to make
Yeah,
it
it is
make
any
sense.
fair. I mean, somebody else can start and then continue.
Yeah, shout out Karen. Karen, you can start. Let's do our pitching classes, man.
I'll
Be the,
finance it.
the headmistress.
And
No,
I
we're
would
not gonna do it in
I
public.
can definitely do a pitching class, yo. I teach
For
pidgin.
sure.
Yeah.
Cameroon pigeon, man.
When I don't come. Mhm.
Yeah, mommy Pima. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
That's Bell's go-to.
That's yeah.
Mommy's-
Good morning, sir.
Yeah. Yo,
What's the
guys,
phrase of the day?
guys. I promised you guys something last time, right? Carson's Corner is back and it is here to
yo.
stay. So we're
This
is
entering
that?
rubbish.
we're entering our second segment right here
Bro.
on NYK
This is
podcast,
rubbish.
which we call
Let's fill in
Carson's-
Karen and
This
Carson's
is
Corner.
rubbish.
So Carson's Corner is a part of the podcast where we drag this man, we tell you all his dirty secret to put everything out there in
This has
public.
been happening.
And
You guys drag me every episode. There's no
but
segment
now
for
we're
this.
making it official.
a segment.
Jesus
This is
Christ.
a segment. So
You know,
Carson,
because last time we were dragging it's not organized. Now it's like organized. You know what I'm saying?
we're bringing the receipts and the facts.
Yeah.
Hey.
Going back to season 1, when we talked about integration into the American society, Carson told us that when he used to go to the gym or go to play basketball and he was playing music in his ears.
Hey, it was my car, man.
Carson, when he would approach the gym or the basketball court, he would reduce his volume because he didn't want his friends to make fun of him for playing African music.
Where
Bro, that's why I said, Karen, I was like you, like, bro.
So
Actually, it
now,
wasn't African music though.
Yeah,
But
I didn't really lower my volume. I was just like,
no,
I wasn't
let
really
me
ashamed.
let me finish the segment before you
Karen
people
didn't
get
know
to
her
it.
volume. Karen was like, turn that shit up.
Literally, I was like, I wasn't ashamed. It was just like, okay.
So,
Bro.
but now, as times have changed, Carson's Corner is not about dragging Carson, it's about seeing the growth
Uplift,
in this
uplift,
young man's
seeing
life.
growth,
Eh?
seeing the growth.
So from
Improvement.
lowering his volume when playing African music and going to the gym, now he sometimes DJs at parties and home parties and he makes
DJ,
noise
I
and
beg.
he has events that they play African music. So he's immersing himself into the African culture. So my friend, kudos to you, and that's Carson's Corner.
That's cap. That's cap. I'll actually correct that though. So, yes, obviously I was like, very, very reserved about keeping that to myself. But everyone knew me as the African kid. But I was like, damn, I don't want people to know me as the African kid because all the jokes were were ridiculous.
African booty scratcher.
Bro, all that, all that. But the thing is, I think I got to a certain point before it was even like the cool thing. I just got to a certain point where I actually started having more African friends. Obviously, you had the Bells, the other people around me, but I actually started having more African friends. And when I stopped hanging out with the Americans as much and started hanging out with the Africans as much, I just didn't care. And then I started I think my confidence grew obviously more. And I was like, nah, these people are going to adapt to me. I'm not going to adapt to them.
Say that,
As they
say
say,
that again, Carson. Say it again,
period.
please. Say it
Yeah.
again for the audience in Mulang. And
Yeah,
Atuakum.
I said, wait, is this the same casting that was in the balcony the other time? Because it doesn't sound like it.
Nah, that's next week when we get to the balcony section of the
Hey,
Carson's Corner.
please. Nah,
Don't
nah,
worry,
nah,
we'll
nah,
get
nah,
there.
nah.
But please say that thing again about adapting to you or not to them. Say it
Nah,
again.
it's just once you get to a certain point, and you just people have to adapt to you and you don't adapt to them. And that's it.
Except for when you're a really bad person, then you have to start adapting.
Damn.
Who's the
So what if one
person?
time you're the bad person?
Hey, who's the bad person? Please let me know.
No,
So,
I'm not
yo.
saying you. Maybe, but
Hey,
So how do you
Jesus.
adapt to the streets though?
That's next
What
week
do you
on
mean?
Carson's Corner.
oh yeah, because isn't Carson for the streets or no?
What is this? All right, on that note, guys, this concludes our this current episode of Now You Know podcast, brought to you by our friends at Stuck in the Middle. You can always follow us at Now You Know podcast on Instagram. And what else is that what you call it? The Twitter thing? I
It's
forget.
NYK on Instagram. Now you know it's Twitter.
Yeah, there you go. Whatever he said. Yeah. And on that note, we will see y'all later. This is Carlson. This is Aristide, Bell, and Karen, the one and only. We will talk to y'all later.
Man.